Hey everyone, good morning. Today I'm going to give you a little bit of guidance on testimonials, success stories, what works, what doesn't work, the most effective way to do them, and just kind of walk you through the whole concept of testimonials so that you can be better at building value for customers, clients, even potential builders. Now, as I walk through this, I want to acknowledge that the goal of this is not that you implement every single thing in this short video. The goal is that you're able to take maybe one idea and then turn it into something that helps your clients. And I'm going to give you a real world example of what I'm working on today to make this a reality. So, what is a testimonial? I like to use success stories. This is just basically when someone has a positive result and you're sharing that with them. So there are three different ways, at least the way I look at them. One is going to be a personal story. Number two is going to be third party results. So think like the classic before and after. Those are results focused. And then the third, which is the most powerful, and even for me as a sales pro, I don't do it as much as I need to, are third party objection handlers. So we'll walk through these. So let's first look at why social proof is important. Now, social proof is not going to replace your entire sales process. It's going to enhance your sales process. So for people that are like, all I do is post stories about social proof, that's good to like, that's a piece of your sales process, but it's not everything. Gallup did a study on what are people looking for in leaders: trust, compassion, stability, and hope. Sales is leadership because we're helping people go from here to there. And so we need to use all sorts of ways to demonstrate trust, compassion, stability, and hope, like using agendas and asking questions about what's important to them, and right, like things like that. Social proof is a part of that because people want to feel safe. They don't want to be like, there's a small percentage of people that want to be trailblazers and everybody else wants to be safe, because what their question they're asking is this going to give me a higher benefit than the money in my pocket? And that's always the question that we're answering. So in sales, sales doesn't have to be icky or annoying. All sales is when someone believes that the product or service is worth more than the money in their pocket. And so it's our job as business owners to build that value. And one of the ways we support our argument is through testimonials. So I want you to think back to maybe school, right? We have like the standard 5-paragraph essay. So we have like the introduction, and we have point 1, point 2, point 3. We don't just make point 1, point 2, point 3. We provide evidence for each of the points in terms of some sort of proof, right? Or story. So let's walk through a few of these. Let me know what's helpful. I'm going to draw because I think it'll be easier to follow along. Let me know in the comments if you can see my whiteboard. All right, so if we have personal, the best way to do this is just a really simple, I'm going to use product-centered stuff. It's just the easiest to explain. All of this can be translated over into business stuff. Here is what I use for blank problem. Now, why this is so effective is that humans like to mimic. So there's significant research that you're better off, like, here's what do not say. No, 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 no. Do not say you should blank. This is bad, bad, bad. This is shame induced. People don't like being told what to do. Do not say that. You should blank. But people want guidance. And so because humans are driven by mimicry and they also want to be empowered, when you say something like, hey, everyone, I just want to let you know, here's the app I use to track habits, right? You're drawn to mimic that, but you have a choice in whether or not you mimic that, which is more empowering. So we don't want to go on and on and on and on about here's what we do. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when we're using our personal advisement to be able to say, here's what I use for that, is super helpful. So that's the first thing. The second is third party results. Now, this is your like standard before and after. Now, I want to give just a little bit of a tip here is that remember that story is better than bullets, right? Or facts. There's popular research around what's called System 1, System 2. System 1 accepts things as truth. They relate to stories and emotions and things like that. System 2 is facts and bullets. It requires more cognitive load to process it, and we're typically more skeptical of facts and bullets. We feel like we need to analyze that. So when you are using third-party results, stories work really, really well. And then here's the most underutilized one, even for myself. As I was getting questions on testimonials, started thinking about my own process, and I was like, oh man, there's a lot of areas in which even myself as a professional sales trainer, I spent all my time focusing on how you are going to be helped and less time focused on making sure that all of our details are tight. I think that is normal, at least I hope it is. So third party objection handlers. Now, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me every day, shame on me. So we already know the reasons that people aren't going to buy. If we already know the reasons people aren't going to buy, the best place to handle an objection is before it comes up, not after it comes up. And so if what we do is we write down all of the different reasons that people don't buy. So I'm just going to use myself as an example. It's just the easiest example for me to use. Also, I'm going to just go ahead and follow tip number 1 because, right, that's helpful. Okay, so the reasons people don't enroll in coaching with us is maybe they can't attend our live calls, right? They'll have to catch recordings. Maybe they've taken a lot of training already. And then another one, let me think here, is, well, what about accountability? Right? Like, how do I know I'll finish? I've taken courses before, I haven't finished them. So these are real problems that people have that we've figured out over time, right? So a third-party objection handler, there's a few ways to go about answering this. Now, if someone comes to you with an objection like this or a concern, it's not a bad thing, it's a buying sign. And I'm like, nah, you'll be fine. Like, that's not very convincing. Now, if you're worried about this and I try to fix it for you, I think we all have gotten advice like that. And it might be helpful if people are in a receptive place. But what's more effective than this is to address it with a story or with what's called a third party objection handler. So for that first one, and this is one of the projects I'm working on today and next week, is I can, for example, what I can do is then I can share a testimonial from one of our clients, Elizabeth, who was in Korea at the time that she took our customer first sales mastermind. So it was quite literally the middle of the night. There was no way it was going to work. And we have a testimonial from her talking about how the Facebook group and the pacing and the step-by-step held her accountable to a high enough way that she was still able to get XYZ result during the coaching program, even though she wasn't able to attend live. And so instead of me saying, yeah, you'll be fine, by bringing in this testimonial or success story, it's more powerful, it's more real, it's more genuine, it's more authentic. And we want all of our sales process to be all of those things. Now, the other piece of this is you can do this before they come up. So let's say I am selling shakes and one of the biggest concerns is going to be taste, right? People won't say that to you, but it's a concern. And so what we would probably do during that part, if we know that's a big concern, is the taste, to be able to insert a success story or a testimonial in that thing. So I might say, have you ever been in a situation where you need to run out the door and you don't eat and you end up eating chili cheese fries when you're out? Then you feel terrible, and obviously that doesn't help with your weight control. And they say yes. You say, okay, this shake will help with that. And also, what's really great is there's multiple flavors, and then we whip out, right, like a text string or something, and we're actually going to do this in a way that where we talk about the feelings. So the testimonial that we're looking for is something like, when I first started, I didn't actually love the taste of the vanilla, but after trying a few, I fell in love with the chocolate and the peppermint, and I enjoy the seasonal ones, and whatever I don't like, my husband has, and so it's really worked out well. And I've lost 6 pounds, and then my husband has also lost 12 pounds or something like that, right? So that's how you would insert it into the sales conversation. All right, I'm going to pull this down because I think we've already gotten quite meaty. Let me know which of this is helpful for you, and I'll just go ahead and talk about ways to integrate social proof. So in networking, when you're doing social media or whatever, even in in-person networking, just things like, this is how I use this is how my mom uses this. If you have before and afters, I think that they're fine to use on social media. Just make sure you balance them and make sure that you write some captions that provide that as encouraging. With enrolling, I recommend finding maybe the 2 most relatable success stories and work those into the product explanation, and maybe 1 objection handler before the offer. And with retention, one of the things that we really love to do is have social media posts where people share their success stories in order to get entered into a drawing. And that works really, really well. And then they're all sharing social proof, or even sending emails out to your customers, which is something like how blank person got this particular result. And it's like a case study format. This works really, really well as well. And then you can rotate those through every 6 months. You don't have to keep getting new ones. Our first $3 million worth of coaching sales came from 3 success stories. There's the Catherine story, went from $50 to $450. But parts of that story that are important is that Catherine was an introvert, right? Because that's a huge objection our people have. Can I be successful in sales if I'm an introvert? So when I tell that story, I always make sure to note that Catherine is an introvert. She was a former coder. She was making $50 a month for 2 years straight, and then $450 the next month, right? Then the next story, and then the next story. Those are more results based as opposed to feelings based or objection handlers. I have one last tip for you, which is really great. This comes from a book called Never Lose a Customer Again. Yeah, I think that's the one. It talks about, testimonials are also important for client retention. And it talks about, if you have a client, testimonials and success stories are actually really hard for other people to write. I've been asked to do videos or testimonials for different coaches that I've had over the years, and it takes a lot of effort to think about it. And so that decreases the chances that you're going to get the success stories that you want, especially the objection handlers. And so what's really, really helpful and works really, really well is to actually, you can write out a draft that someone can start. So I can say, let's say I know someone who's spent a lot on coaching. I say, we've had this conversation in the past. So I say, I've spent a lot on coaching. Here's what was the problem. Here's what really helped me, blah, 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 blah. And then I can send it to that person and say, hey, Kelly, is this okay? I wrote this. Would this be an okay success story to share? Or if you want to edit anything, let me know. And a lot of times they'll just make a quick edit, or they'll say, yeah, this is exactly how I feel. and then you can use it because you have permission. I think that's a really great pro tip if you're trying to up your testimonial game. All right. So those are the tips on testimonials and success stories that I have for you today. I hope they were helpful. Next week, we're going to do a training, a live Zoom call, webinar, whatever you want to call it, on overcoming limiting beliefs. I think this is a really important topic because we all, myself included, have limiting beliefs about our industry that we're in, like what it takes to be successful. We have limiting beliefs about ourselves, and then we have limiting beliefs about others, where we're starting to make assumptions for other people. And we need to be able to have some concrete tools, not some like philosophical tools, in order to get that done. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a training next week, and I'm going to walk you through 5 different tools that you can use so that limiting beliefs don't take over your life. Now, I know I believe in like doing the work, right? But I don't think limiting beliefs can just be hashed out outside of work. And so the tools we're going to use, I think, are going to help even figure out what limiting beliefs you might have, because most times we don't even know. And then, what are some things that we can implement consistently so that they rise to the surface, we can get them out of our way, and we can continue to make progress. None of us are going to eliminate all of our limiting beliefs in a moment. We can't wait until we don't have limiting beliefs in order to move into action. And so we're going to talk about how to do that. So if you'd like the details for that, we'll get you the time, the date, the registration link to come live. Then just go ahead and type in the word Zoom, and we'll make sure to re-message you that later. So I hope you all have a great day and a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.